can you sit in? Because I had a massive complaint. Can you speak in English?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I had a very, very bad hand infection, my right hand.
Yeah.
It had gone on for several weeks.
Yeah.
2 GPs in Koln said this is now becoming very, very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I came to the uni clinic and I spoke to the gentleman with the longer hair. He sent me to 2 doctors, two female doctors, to diagnose the hand.
Mm-hmm.
They started laughing, there's nothing wrong with you, you big sissy. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, I can't actually move my hand. All these joints had become solid. I took pictures of my hand. I said, I can't move my hand. I mean, you could see the remnants of it, that's right. No, nothing wrong with your hand, come back at 7 o'clock in the morning. I said, logistically, it's very difficult for me to get here for 7. Can I come back for 8 or 9? No, if you're not here for 7 o'clock, we will not see you. So I became very sick. The next week, which was both of these times were on a Wednesday, so I'd been to information, emergency, 3rd floor, 7th floor, 3rd floor, emergency. At no point was my AOK card registered, which is, you can't do that. The second time I was here, I saw the same gentleman again. I said, my hand is getting worse by the day. It's extremely painful, and it was blue. My hand was blue. So he came in along with and one other doctor, she's short, blonde, with a scar above her lip. And she said, what's your problem? I said, excuse me? What's your problem? I said, I was here last week, yes, I know about you. I said, yes, it's getting worse. Well, I'm a doctor, I'm telling you it's fine. I said, clearly it's very, very swollen, it's discolored, I can't move it, it's massively painful. She squeezed my hand like that, it's not swollen. She said, did anyone take any blood? I said, I'm not quite sure who took blood. Where is it? Well, she said, well, that's a stupid answer. And at that point I said, I'm not going to be spoken to like this anymore. I'm not a 5-year-old kid. I grabbed my stuff, I went to the Hofbahnhof, I took a 1-hour train journey to Aachen. I went to the emergency in Aachen, I saw a house doctor. He immediately said within 2 seconds, plastic surgeon immediately. I was taken straight to plastic surgery. They were like, I have no idea what's going on with your hand. You need to stay in overnight. I was on 24-hour watch because whatever it was going up my arm on daily antibiotics through an IV drip and codeine. I couldn't move my hand. It's still not perfect, but it's better. But 3 of your doctors not only misdiagnosed it, nothing was registered anywhere in this hospital. So now the chief of staff in emergency is like, this was handled very badly. I told them what happened in dermatology, and they said, 1 thing, you can't laugh at a patient. 2, even if they diagnosed it, they thought there was nothing wrong, you should have been sent to a plastic surgeon to diagnose it. So now he's finding out why I wasn't registered in emergency, why I wasn't registered here, why I saw 3 doctors, and there's no recollection of anywhere in the hospital of me even being here. I have to travel 1 hour to Aachen, who put me on an immediate IV drip for antibiotics, and it slowly got better, and codeine practically every hour, or the one that reduces the swelling. And I actually had to discharge myself. They said you should probably stay in longer, but I have a legal case with my employer. So I would like to make a complaint. I've gone to information, I've written the email, I've saw the chief of staff twice in emergency, and he's also emailed me back. He's like, this can't happen. I said, not only was it dangerous, at no point should doctors be laughing at a medical condition of a patient. You can't do that. And for it to be that bad, for me to literally pack up my things, walk from here to the Hofbahnhof, and I don't know Koln very well, get on a 1-hour train, find out where the nearest emergency is, and they immediately send me to a plastic surgeon and I'm kept in for 4 days, I would like to make a complaint. It was horrendous. The house doctor in the Aachen hospital looked at it for 2 seconds and immediately took blood and said, go straight to the plastic surgeon straight away, who said, you need to be kept in overnight. They checked it overnight. They said, there's obviously a massive infection. I was getting antibiotics every 3 hours for 3 to 4 days. Yet three of your doctors laughed at me and said, basically, called me stupid. I mean, on a human level, you can't do that.
That's right. Have you got any report from the arm clinic?
I gave it to Dr. Backel. He's not the chief of staff in emergency, but he's the second in command. He's the one that wrote me an email last night, and that's why I've traveled, again, 2 hours to get here. Because I'll be honest with you, I was getting terrified, because I'm like, what the fuck is going on with my hand?
This report, did you...
It was in Louise. I can give you...
yes, will be fine.
It's not the report, but it gives you access to the information to get to the report.
Okay.
But the thing is, I talked to the emergency, and they said, even if they did think nothing was wrong, you should have been sent to a plastic surgeon, minimum, to check it. And the weird thing is, let's say if I'm in Canada and I go into a hospital, and I'm seen by 3 doctors over a period of a week, and I'm not even registered, can you imagine if I'd have died in the hospital? This hospital would have been toast. You can't do that. So that's the hospital that I went to. You can photocopy it. The doctor was who was really, I can't remember the plastic surgeon's name, but the doctor who was treating me was a Dr. Jansen. He was a very nice guy, treated me with respect. It obviously got better. I still have to go back to a dermatologist. They even took an x-ray. They were that worried, they took an x-ray. Yet 3 of your female staff thought it was funny and actually said, get out of the hospital. You can't treat patients like that. And I can send you the picture of my hand, the way it was. It was black, purple, blue, and swollen. But the 3 Frau doctors thought it was hilarious. The short blonde one actually was being aggressive, pointing fingers. You can't do that. On that report it actually says, oh, come back the next night. It's not quite right, because what they initially said was, when I saw the plastic surgeon, he said, I can't quite figure it out visually looking at it, but something is very badly wrong. And they kept me in for 3 nights. They said you should stay in longer, but I had to discharge myself to go and see my lawyer. So if you call them and photocopy that, they will give you the report. Actually, you know what? I might actually have some more of the information as well. Just give me 1 second. This is the other. The scary part is, if I had collapsed and something was deadly in my arm and I'm not registered here, this hospital would be in a lot of trouble. And I gave him, that guy that came in here with that, my AOK card and the medical notes from my GP. How it's not even possible that I'm not registered anywhere in this hospital at information here, or Dr. Backel did a search on me. It's as if I was never even in this hospital. That's not good. The 3 doctors I saw here, extremely unprofessional. Extremely unprofessional.
Our doctor asked you whether there was blood drawn in order to perform an investigation, and you said, I'm not sure because I'm not a doctor.
No.
How's that?
Okay, so basically what happened is, she was talking to me like a dog at that point. She said, I told her the places I'd been, right? The doctors, numerous doctors. She was talking to me like as a 5-year-old child. I said, you can clearly see I have an IV bruise, right? When it goes in the arm. So at that point, she actually came towards me, squeezed my right hand, said, there's nothing wrong with your hand, you're making stupid comments. The guy who brought this in giggled. That's when I left. I said, really, if you're going to behave like that, what's the point? She actually said, there's nothing wrong with your hand.
Yes,
I literally, that same night, I went to this hospital. Doesn't make much sense, does it? And even emergency said, even if that was her diagnosis, even if it was, she still should have sent me to a plastic surgeon or emergency. If you can't diagnose it as a dermatologist, you don't say, get out of my hospital. Absolutely.
I'm back in a minute.
But is that technically the case? Let's say that was her diagnosis, even though it was wrong, she still has to send me to emergency, it has to be diagnosed.
I'll be back in a minute.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
So can I ask, I don't know who I'm talking to.
I'm not sure if my English is fine enough to make a correct conversation with you. Yes. I think the diagnosis our doctor had was an eczema or something which is not infectious. And as far as I've heard, she proposed to have a blood investigation.
That's not true. I was there, you weren't. Just what I would say to you, sir, is, sir, I don't know who I'm talking to, doctor.
Doctor, yes.
Yes.
Pardon?
Your last name, sir?
Razukat.
Razukat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are you one of the chief here?
I'm responsible for this area, yes. Mm-hmm.
So bearing in mind I came here twice, not once, twice.
Yeah, but there's another point that our emergency doctor proposed that you should come the next day, and that was not possible, or?
Okay, so it's really not that complicated, but I arrived here. I gave the note from the GP to that guy. He let me see 2 female staff. They asked a few questions, they looked at my hand, they specifically verbatim said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your hand. It's not an emergency. I said, what do you class, please let me finish. What do you class as an emergency? They said, not your hand. I said, but I can't physically move it. And they said, it's too late now. We're not going to send you to anyone else. Come back at 7 o'clock. And I specifically said, logistically, that is impossible for me. I said, can I come a little bit later? And they both said, if you are not here exactly at 7 o'clock, we will not see you. So I said, well, what am I supposed to do? You know what they said? Go to another hospital. I said, but you're supposed to be one of the newest, the conversation became ridiculous. So I was that flustered even on that day.
I think that's probably the point is, I think it's how to tell it.
We're not going to pass this off as communication or the behavior was absolutely outrageous.
Yes, I see that. Yes, okay.
What I'm saying is, for me, so I'm an IT manager, delivered $5 billion worth of IT project, right? I'm not a stupid person. For them to act in such a way, the thing that really got me was if you start laughing at a patient, doesn't make you feel overly great, does it? I'm clearly in pain, you're laughing at me. That's when I grabbed my bag, and you can actually ask the guy. I was so angry, I actually came back half an hour later because I left my briefcase.
I see.
So what I would say is I couldn't come back the next day. I became very right.
That's for sure.
So I became very sick. I came back the next Wednesday because a doctor in Koln said, this is not only a skin problem, it's now dangerous. He used the word dangerous. He said, you need to go to the uni clinic immediately. I said, I've already been refused medical care there. He said, get your ass back there right now. So I walked all the way from Neumarket to here. Both of them came in, and you know what it is, doctor? I apologize because I've interrupted you a couple of times, but you're very relaxed. This woman's attitude was brutal, and it takes a lot to piss me off, but she was in my face from the start, interrupting every single sentence I made. Just as an example, you shouldn't be here at 7 o'clock. I said, can I explain that logistically? No, you can't explain. I'm the doctor, I did that. And this is how the conversation was going. So right from the start, I couldn't say anything, I was stupid, and the thing is, the last comment she made was about the blood. She did make a comment about the blood, right? And I said, look, I'm not bam.
At that stage, the conversation was...
had deteriorated so badly that I said, I'm not really sure I want to answer your questions anymore.
What I can do is I can apologize.
I'd like to make a written complaint.
I can hear that, and I can try to improve our
Doesn't mean anything to me.
habits.
I want to know why I was specifically treated like that, because it's all very well, you know, look, I worked in big companies. Your answer was a fluffy one, I'll be honest with you. I would like to make a written complaint because I've made a written complaint to the head of emergency, and he is going to investigate what happened in emergency, why I wasn't registered, why the doctors here took those notes and I wasn't registered. Yes, but I would like to make a complaint against specifically the dermatological department based off the actions of those 3 doctors. So yes, so what I'm saying is, emergency is dealing with this professionally. I don't really need to know if you need to improve that's your job, not mine. I don't work here, it doesn't bother me. What I'm saying is, it was dangerous, the behavior. For me to have to go to another hospital. He has contacted me by email. I've sent generic emails trying to complain. I've now talked to you. I would like you to take ownership of this now that I've traveled over an hour to get here to talk to you. I want to make a written complaint directly to this ward and find out why did what happened.
Yes,
It's completely unacceptable.
You can do that.
But I'm not writing it to a generic email. No way. If you have a card, I would like your card to take ownership of this. You don't have to do the investigation, but I have gone on this hospital's website, I have made phone calls, I've sent letters. The only way anything actually gets done, or I even talk to anyone, is they physically come here.
Yes. You can write down your complaints, and you can direct these complaints to the Department of Dermatology, of course. You shouldn't use the way of email. It's possible to do that, but I think
it's absolutely the only way to do it.
You can do it by email, of course. And we have a special Beschwerdestelle. And if you...
What does that mean?
An office.
I don't want to be blown off by fluff. And my concern is that you've obviously listened to my situation, right?
No. You can write your complaints to this Beschwerdestelle, and they are obliged to investigate the case. Yes.
Can I say that I spoke to you today?
Yes, of course.
Can you write down your name?
Yes, of course.
My only concern with you, doctors, and I've never met you before, I've worked in huge organizations, right? Huge. Much bigger than this hospital. A standard response is, thank you very much for informing us, and we will endeavor to improve our procedures and processes, and it don't mean nothing to me. What I'm looking for is why did what happened to me happen to me?
My English is not good.
And it's good enough, Doc. It's good enough, Doc. What I'm saying is that answer is a generic answer from any part of the world. I mean, if I heard the same answer in America, Canada, UK, you're a smart guy. That's the only thing that concerns me is generic answers, because I've done it myself when I was in sales. Is it possible when I send this email that it goes to an actual person and not a mailbox?
Yes. No, no, it is.
Do you have a card? Do you have a card?
I have no card, but I have a stamp, and you can use that.
I've been trying to do this before Christmas, so I think at a minimum.
And you can mail me, of course.
Perfect. And you can pass it on to whoever you want to investigate. That's totally fine.
I can do that, yes.
Can I just double
So
check
let's
if you
try
read
to
that?
spell it.
So
It's
eight.
H point, full stop, RASOKAT.
Oh, that's an S.
It's the same as here.
Okay.
Okay. And it's at uni minus Koln,
Mm-hmm.
UNI minus you can read. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
So really, just a quick one, and then I'll go, because I know you're busy.
You can give me a mail, and I
I
will
will email you
respond
tonight.
with that I received the mail and I gave it for the process. to
That's fine by me.
appreciate it. Is that all right?
That's fine. The only thing I would say is, and it's any hospital in the world, right? Doesn't matter, any first or second world country. If you go into a hospital and you're actually seen by doctors, and you at no point are registered in that hospital, if something had happened to me bad, or I'd stayed here and it got horrendously worse and something terrible had happened to me, do you know legally this hospital would have been in a lot of trouble? That's why the emergency guy, that's the number one thing he's chasing, is like, how can this guy have given his AO credit card like 4 or 5 times and no one registered? The behavior of the staff was unacceptable, and on a technical level, all I would say is, and it's my last thing, the emergency guy who was a plastic surgeon, he said, even if that was the dermatologist's response, it's their legal obligation to send you to a plastic surgeon to make the decision on what's wrong with your hand. You can't just leave. That's what he said. Legally.
Okay.
That's not the case, or it is the case?
It's right that we have to document every contact with our patients, and I think there is a kind of documentation.
No, what I mean is, he said, if the dermatologist said, well, we can't see anything, he said it shouldn't have stopped there, it should have been...
Not necessarily. If he is sure or convinced of his diagnosis, so it's not automatically